Here we have Avalanche, symbol AVAX versus the dollar. It did not just hit our target from last week. It actually overshot it by a little bit. The target was 62 to 64, I believe. And it actually even closed a little bit below there. So this week, I am looking for it to likely rally up here early this week. Can very easily short-term hit around 61.60. I actually wouldn't even mind to move up towards about 65.5, but nothing really changes on the higher term timeframes here as far as some potential macro bearishness, especially as long as you're below $80. So it's kind of a long way up for right now. So short term can very easily rally up. Wouldn't be surprised to see again move towards about 66, but overall I do look at this one as a macro downtrend emerging as we have 1, 2, 3 lower highs. We get in our first lower low right here, or like very obvious one I should say, and 5-day RSI is dipping its toesy woesies into the bearish control zone for the first time in years, actually going back to May 2021. So long term, you are still within a bouncy area as far as this goes. Something like this is what I'd be doing. But I do suspect that after a bit of a short-term rally here to open up this week, probably does drop back down somewhere around low 50s, let's say, and that's where I'd be looking for, or at least expecting a greater bounce from if it is going to potentially bottom out there. Obviously below $50, I do look for this one to absolutely catastrophically fall towards about 39 to 33 before the next potential major stop. But until then, short-term timeframes, I am looking for continuation up here, but higher-term timeframes bearish. Let's just go reference stochastic momentum over here because I want to see if that lines up with what I'm saying or what I'm thinking. 4-hour is showing upside above 57.5. Now this is a corrective signal with very high volatility, so going into contraction phase right there. Not the best. Daily is also going to cross up with a daily closure today above $59, which is currently well above, so that's good. So again, I do think that it probably opens up this week on a bounce. Even $66, certainly not out of the question here. But higher term timeframes like the 5-day still nosediving below $80. So $80 is my pivot for calling a macro bottom here, actually. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be my sort of criteria for that. Weekly is pivoted at $84 in this case. I'm curious if the monthly even populates. It doesn't really matter, to be fair. So ultimately, what is that likely aligned with? Short-term bouncy, higher-term timeframes, though, as long as you're specifically below $80, I do look at anything as your next lower high and very likely getting ready for another move back down towards these mid $50 to low $50 lows. Probably another short-term bounce there, and then long-term would not be very surprised to see this one somewhere down around the low 30s before the next potential macro low in this case. Hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Avalanche.